Hey y'all, it's me, Stop, Drop, and Roll On, and Purity. And peace sign. And we had this ritual we do, like, I guess it's a ritual. It's almost like a habit. And this might be a long video because we finna kind of talk. But normally on Sundays we tape Sunday morning. And then like we go to church because we go to an early service, and then we come back and we look at Sunday morning, right?
Right.
And you can hop in here and talk anytime because I always feel like I talk all the time, and then you concur with whatever I'm saying, which ain't the way it always really is, but I do talk a lot. But but anyway, but anyway, we were looking today's on a whole lot of levels. This Sunday morning, for some reason, it just seemed like they always have at least one story that will make me like uh, it's like an emotional type thing for me. I don't know what that is. But anyway, the story today that made me cry was it was this little boy who had a bacterial infection when he was young, and he lost both of his arms in different proportions. Though one arm, I want to say it was the right arm, was all the way up to the shoulder joint or just
Yeah.
below it, and
The
then
other
the
one
other
is
one is
right at the elbow,
yeah,
I think. Yeah.
forearm. And the little thing can play basketball, and they
Pretty good
had
at it
some,
too.
yeah, he was good, and he had, but nobody really, they just looked at his disability.
Mm.
And so what ended up happening is he was on the bench, he approached this, and y'all have to look at it, I mean, but the short of the long is he saved the day
Mm.
one day. And now, people are looking at his abilities and stuff. And um, I always tell people that really don't know, I just have a soft spot for special needs kids because they're some of the most lovable, and not just kids, but special needs people, some of the most pure and lovable people. They always just say what they mean. When they allow themselves to feel. They don't have all these little fake filters and stuff that we have. And I just appreciate that so much about them. Not to mention that they just lovable. I mean, I could tell you some stories, but I'm just saying, and so with him, he was just forthright. He knew what he could do, and he just went for it. It's a beautiful story. If you look at Sunday morning, y'all gotta check that story out. But they are where we put the thing on pause, the television on pause is this lady on here, and this is today's segment. We just happen to be looking at it later in the day. Um, well, this lady has written this book, and I can't even remember her name, but she's the person that's responsible for a lot of the television, like what?
HBO documentaries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like a big person in influential and the person that's putting all this stuff together. And immediately when she came on, they said her age, and I think she's 78 years old, and she does not look 78 at all. But I'm aware most of the time of when people have had work done. Okay, but the deal is that her work doesn't look unnatural, really, does it? I
Mm,
mean, it
not really.
actually looks like whoever took care of her did a really really good job. But she has also written a book about um, the aging process and how she feels and stuff. And some of the things that I sat here and said before they started talking about the book, those are things that she attacked. And who is that interviewing her? Leslie Stahl.
Hmm.
And so Leslie Stahl is talking to her, and she asked this question. She said, I'm hacked off. And actually, she said, I'm pissed about the fact that I'm this age and this is getting ready to be over soon. And I'm not gonna, I'm just not getting it. I'm just not getting to the point where I'm not afraid anymore of whatever, and now it's almost over. And when she said that, it was, it's a feeling that I've had for eh, when I think several years ago when I turned 47, I think I started feeling this feeling like, okay, like the things that used to bother me, it's not like I like got to a point where they didn't. It was just the importance that they used to have. It just didn't. It wasn't as strong. It wasn't as high up on the totem pole. It was just like, you just kind of like roll the eyes and jerk the head and go the other way because when people start making this comment a couple of years ago about no, don't nobody have time for that. I was feeling that phrase when I turned 47. Like, and then Pierre came in here today and, we shredding some stuff and doing that. And I found a letter that his dad had written to him. And you want to talk about that?
Well, Dad was. I had got. Dad wrote me a letter about him not being informed that I was in the hospital. I went in the hospital. I can't even remember what I was in the hospital for.
It was really serious.
Yeah.
And without going real in deep, Pierre had went off on business. He had came back home, and I started looking at him, and he was just talking about.
Oh, that's when my legs were swollen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but first it started off. He had a purpura, and it looked just like one. And then we were doing something. We had went and this guy that worked at a place that I worked at had asked us if we would help him move because Pierre had a truck. And we were like, okay, but he came home and he was just acting like really different, and I was like, what is up with him? He must be really tired. And we went ahead on and helped this guy move, but he still, I mean, he was just like not himself. And so when we got finished moving, we went to go eat. Well, anybody knows Pierre. If you put a hamburger in front of him and it's done correctly, the way he eats his hamburger is ketchup and onions only, meat bread. That's it. And then no lettuce. Don't put tomatoes on it. Don't put pickles on it. Please don't put any cheese on it, else he gonna clown. And
or you gonna get it right back.
Yeah, and for real though. So anyway, he ordered a hamburger. It came out perfectly. He took 2 bites out of that hamburger and wrapped it up and threw it away. When I saw that, I knew something was wrong with him. So when we got home, he took his socks off, and I just was looking at him like, what? What is this? And so I started looking at him, and then when I saw that he had purpura all up underneath, the soles of his feet, and then I started looking at him closer, and he had developed them all in his palms. We went to the emergency room. Bottom line is, we were in the emergency room every bit and grain of probably maybe about, they evaluated him about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And this doctor comes in and he's like, well, I just gonna tell you right up, straight up. You probably got maybe about, what he said, 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, 2.5 hours and what? You gonna move into a room or he gonna be discharged or what? And then he said, no, to live. And he just said that and turned around and walked out the room. Now I'm sitting here looking at this man, and this is just background to this letter that his dad wrote him. And I'm sitting up here like, okay, it's just me and him here. Nobody else. None of his family is here at that point. And what do I do with this?
I said, no, I'm not dying today. I went out and I smoked a cigarette.
And I was getting ready to get there. He sure did. And I'm just like in here like, okay, I know what I know and I know who I know, but my flesh responded to what this doctor had said. This one here went straight over into Jesus mode with a cigarette. And he's standing outside. I'm like, Somebody done told you you got 2.5 hours to live, and you standing out here puffing on a fire stick, and he gonna be talking about, yeah, cause that ain't gonna happen today. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to figure out who do I call related to his people, because I called my mother and told them I need y'all to pray because this is what is going on here, and this is not what I expected to hear.
Mm.
So
Call my mother
and then I
next.
called his mother,
Mm.
and she was just like, "Oh well, we'll pray." And I'm thinking she getting ready to say I'm getting on the next thing smoking, and
Mm.
that ain't what came out. Well, see, then my flesh rose up, and I'm getting all salty because I'm like, "This is your firstborn. This is your little baby," and okay. And so then I called Pierre's dad. Well, Pierre's dad had a health crisis going on. He had lung cancer, and he had not told us about it yet.
Mm-mm.
And so he had a whole lot of stuff going on that we didn't know about. And so I called him and he didn't answer, and I left a message. But I went home. I had it was so much stuff that happened. I had to get him settled. They moved him up to a room and put him in isolation because they really didn't know what the cause of what was going on with him was. They had just said that if the purpura moved up from his feet and if it got anywhere around his waist, then that was for real when the countdown on life was going to begin. And I'm trying to inspect him, and so that was just like a 24, 36-hour day for me.
Mm.
And I just
Make a long story short. They didn't know what it was.
they never really figured out what it was either.
Just
They put the cream on this,
mm,
but I'm before
I
Pierre
had
left out of the. Go ahead,
it,
honey.
antibiotics going in my
Oh
arm
my gosh,
for what 3 days?
three,
3 days
four days,
pumping antibiotics in
constant.
constantly. Everything smelled like antibiotics.
Yeah, and then Pierre's
Yeah.
feet and legs, especially his feet. Pierre's feet swole up about. I've never seen feet swell up that bad. His
Mm.
feet were like this. It hurt him. I At that point I had never seen him cry.
Mm.
But when he finally got up that first time and tried to stand up, he
Mm.
literally cried. It wasn't no
Yeah.
but it was just tears going down his
Yeah,
face.
it was painful to stand up, it's painful to walk, and then they had you walking around the hallway. There was another
That
guy
was
that
after they released him from the
yeah,
infectious disease.
there was another guy. Yeah, they had me quarantined.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause they didn't know what it was. There's another guy out there. He had the same thing because his legs were
No,
purplish.
his was cardiac.
Oh,
His
okay.
wasn't
I
what
thought
yours
it was
was.
the same thing.
No.
Anyway, they had
There's a
was walking
difference.
around the hallway to keep circulation going, and
He couldn't go nothing but like halfway, not even halfway down the hall. It's just like out the door and back in because he wasn't in quarantine anymore. But they
mm,
left him in the room, I guess, just in case they needed to lock him down because uh, they were coming in the room like what was that movie where they had that Ebola? Or, no, that movie that they came out with before we had the real Ebola thing going on. Well, them people
mm,
anyway. They
outbreak.
was outbreak.
Yeah.
Pierre was in one of them outbreak rooms, and them people was coming in there like they was filming outbreak. So the dad wrote after he finally got a hold to me because I was up in the hospital, room with him. It was just like, okay, if y'all gonna quarantine him, then I'm gonna be in here with him because I already been with him, exposed.
Mm,
And so, but I didn't have any other symptoms or anything. And so, he wrote this letter, and I found the letter today, and he read it, and he was like, I don't know why Dad was, and basically what it was is his dad was just
upset.
upset
Mm,
about what was going on with him, not able to express himself, which sometimes men can be like that, and he was just trying in the best way that he knew how to express his care for this man while trying to figure out a way to tell us what was going on with him. But
mm,
he even knew that it wasn't the best time for him to tell us that because of what he was going through, this one.
mm,
And so At the end he said you people and something, and I was having to put on my decoder ring and explain to Pierre that he said you people such, and then he said I am too old and I am too sick to be spending time on this.
Mm-hmm.
And when that lady said that today, it just reverberated what his dad had wrote in that letter. And also, it kind of let me understand that I think we start having this dialogue. And I was telling him that I think that what happens is that at a certain point in time in life, you end up really getting to a point where you totally understand the importance of things and the lack of importance of things. So
Mm-hmm.
when I get on here and I say, I'm not spending time on this, I'm not making time for that, that's where I'm coming from. I'm not coming at it from a haughty place because anybody that knows me knows that that is teetotally not me. I can get down dirty. I can. I mean, it's just like you have to know how to mold yourself to the situation, you know. And it is to me a mark of a certain level of maturity for people to look beyond what people look like, look beyond what people have, and all that kind of stuff, and really look to the core of the person, you know, and realize that everybody everybody got something to bring to the table, and it might not be as illustrious as the next person, but it's value in everything and everybody. And this lady was saying that her value of life and her ability to maneuver through life has now come to a point where she can cut through the muck and just get down to the bare bones, and she was upset because she knew that she didn't have enough time to be able to do all the things that she wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were talking about that, and I was telling them that when she said that, it was like, there it is right there. Because it's how I've been feeling. And it's how I think Pierre, because he's a little older than I am, has felt.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the things that I just get emotional about just because I'm a female, number one, and we do get emotional more so than men do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he
There's that you get to a point where a lot of the dreams that you had when you were younger that you know they don't matter anymore. Yeah, I know when I was younger, I had a desire to be an architect, or then you have
and he did what he needed to do to become an architect,
but I never
but
got
he never did anything.
yeah,
So you looking at that.
yeah. And then there was a time I wanted to play pro golf, and then there was a time I wanted to do this and that. Well, as you get older, it's not that you don't accomplish these things. It just, some you do accomplish and some you don't, but it just gets to the point where, how important really is this?
It's the needful things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what, when Jesus was talking to Mary and Martha,
Mm-hmm.
and he told the one, look, you just too busy. You
Mm-hmm.
need to sit down here and handle and take in the needful stuff. And it
Mm-hmm.
is true because we do get busy with a lot of stuff that's, it just don't matter. When you look at stuff in the overall scheme of things and how fast life is, because it really is fast. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even if you live to be 100 years old, 100 years is pretty still fast, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so when we got people around here popping off in their 50s and earlier than that, and I just feel like when you get to a certain point, and this is what I'm talking about, or we were discussing, that made us start talking to y'all. Do you feel like after you, what point in your life did you get to that point? Or, I mean, are you there yet, or do you feel like you just like maybe this video is articulating how you feeling and what are you gonna do with it? Because one of the things I said, Tim, is I wonder if some of the people that we would consider successful people, if maybe they have this little thing where it lifted up off of them. In other words, the fog that kind of keeps you from seeing stuff clearly and getting to the core of things quickly, if it lifted up off of them at an earlier age, or if they had something in them that just made them just kind of like run into situations with less trepidation, and that was one of the questions that came up when we were discussing. And but I'm this is just something to me because I never heard um I just never heard anybody say it like she said it. Like, I'm just hacked off, that is going to be over soon. And I'm just now not being afraid. And I'm not saying soon like I'm busting out of here tomorrow or tonight, because to me, 50 years from now is going to be soon. You know,
Well, the thing is, she's older, elderly, or whatever you want to call
let's
it.
say older.
You know, and she's seen a lot of her colleagues go about her age or maybe a little bit older, and you get to the point where well, am I next? Because life is taking its toll on you, and you've done your thing, and you know,
And see, I see it even more so, I think, than Pierre does, because Pierre has only really experienced two true losses. His dad was one, and his grandma was the other one.
mm,
That's it.
mm,
That's not the story for me. And so he has an even total different vantage point, even though he's older than I do. Because some of the losses that we've experienced on my side, he's had to walk through some of them with me, but some of the other ones we weren't together.
mm,
It doesn't mean that I didn't experience it on whatever level or age I was at, but these last ones, since I have been older and I've had more time with these people, they have taken more out of me. Would you agree with
mm,
that? It's been harder for
yeah.
me to move.
Well, these are people you were really close to. You know,
Yeah.
I, you know, my grandmother, I was close to her up until a certain age.
Mhm.
And then I kind of moved. You kind of move away from your grandparents after you get older, and so I mean, we were close, but not so much. And then Dad and I, we knew each other. We talked to each other. We
Oh
weren't
yeah, your dad.
that close,
Mm-mm.
because military had him running all over the world. So we kind of grew up without him. So we weren't as close as a father and son should be. But in your case, all the people that passed away were, you were real close to. You knew them, saw them, most of them on a daily basis, and that's a big gap. That's a big loss, because they're not here no more.
Mm.
And so that,
Yeah.
you know,
So
so
anyway, that's all we were just sharing. I don't know if anybody looks at Sunday morning at all. I don't know, but this the one for today, and today is the 24th, I think, or the 23rd. What is it? The 23rd or 20? Anyway,
yeah, 20, yeah,
it's
20.
terrible. We don't know what today's date is. Is that a sign or something? It's a sign that we ain't looked at the calendar. That's what it's a sign of. But anyway,
It's the 24th.
the 24th, it just, it just kind of brings things home, you know. But like I said, if you look at it, if you get a chance, just kind of look at it. I think you could probably pull it up online or something, just to see just to see a different take on um, when you get to be, older, how you view things, and probably I think it might give you some insight, especially if you close to 50ish or beyond 50, as we both are beyond, that it'll be, a benefit and of help, and kind of shed some light on it, in a different way. I don't know, but if you feel that way or you felt that, put down below like when it happened to you and what was the deal that made you like really um realize that you had had a shift in your thinking. Okay, and I'm gonna hush. You got anything else to say?
No, wait a minute. I'm trying to find this woman's name.
Okay. Pierre's getting ready. He's Mr. Detail. You gonna have to turn it up, ain't you? 'Cause
Mm-mm.
her name is Sheila Nevins.
Yeah.
Nevins.
Interview with
Interview with Leslie Stahl.
and Sheila Neville.
Q&A. Okay, y'all. Toodles.